Back at it again with another episode of 80/20. And today we have someone on very special that I work closely with, Brett Owens. You might have seen him on the True Capacity Instagram. You may have seen him on Facebook and our Facebook group. You may have seen him on the street somewhere. You may have seen his large arms a few counties away. I don't know. But what I do know is that I'm excited for him to be here. And I think that he has a story to tell outside of just health and wellness that I think will move the needle for a lot of people that listen to this. So, Brett, dude, I appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump right into your journey, right? You're more than just health and wellness, right? You're an actor, right? You've done shorts. You've had some other roles, right? That I might love to jump into a little bit, right? Outside of the shorts that popped into Instagram more recently.
Yeah.
Walk me through, first of all, who are you and how do you get here?
Yeah. Okay. My name is Brett Owens. Fitness has always been a huge part of my life. I was lucky enough to have two incredibly in shape parents. My mom's been a runner her whole life. Nutrition and stuff has always been a big part of it. I've always been aware of it. I didn't really realize that until I got older and I got into this profession, that like people grow up and have no idea about this stuff. So I'm really fortunate that I grew up in a household that put health and wellness first. So, but yeah, I mean, I've always grown up in the wellness kind of environment, and like pretty much every job I've had for the most part has been centered around like supplements or nutrition or exercise. I've worked just about every job in the gym that you could possibly think of. But yeah, it's just been a big part of my life since I was a kid.
Yeah. And when you're talking about jobs in the gym, right?
Yeah.
How many other jobs are there in the gym outside of trainer and coach?
Yeah. So it was, I worked front desk. I was a cleaner. I've been a supervisor of the gym. I've been a salesperson at the gym. The only thing I didn't do was like general manager, but pretty much any other thing where it came to running a gym, I was a part of it.
Now, when you were cleaning the gym, did you wear short shorts or?
Yeah, I mean, that was the only way. That's how you get all the attention from everyone. So that's how you meet people, then get the quads out.
So I mean, with you coming into the health and wellness space, is that, I know you said that you were raised by very fit parents, right? Is that how you ended up here and wanted to stay here, or is that how you started dabbling? Or
yeah, I mean, I grew up a chubby kid.
How chubby?
I was a thick boy. I mean, I was probably pushing close to 200 at like 5 feet. I was a lineman. I know. I was a big old boy. That's probably an exaggeration. My mom would say it's an exaggeration, but I was a chunky guy. And, obviously I played sports, and I was in, like, fitness was always kind of around, and nutrition was always kind of around, like I said, but, I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house, and my grandparents, they would feed me, man. If I wanted something, it was there. So, so when I got to a certain age, I have one of my best friends, his name's Christian Richter. He got really into shape, and he started off like rail thin, and we were kind of like opposite ends of the spectrum. And I remember just like watching him and seeing him get to the point he was at. And I was like, I kind of want to do that. And so I reached out, we went and worked out together, and bodybuilding's always kind of been my background, at least from where I started. So once I started working with him, and I really respected him, and he showed me the ropes and got me in, and, that opened up the doors to more bodybuilding stuff. I started doing a little CrossFit. I remember the first day when I saw abs for the first time, I was like, this is it. I'm doing this forever. I'm never going to stop doing this. So just constantly chasing that high. And then, a lot of people, it started off as like a weight loss journey. And then at the point where I'm at now, it's just about feeling good, feeling or looking my best, wanting to look my best, and just being able to move. I mean, like I tell all my clients this, and I believe it for myself, that I want to get to a point where I'm playing with my grandkids and I'm not worried about knee pain, ankle pain, back pain, all the side effects of getting old. I don't want to have to deal with all of that. So, or at least not so much. So, but yeah, that's how I've kind of gotten here.
On the durability over everything for yourself, I mean, do you take that same approach with clients?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that one thing with my clients, I mean, I've been doing this for 12 years, probably 11 or 12 years. Yeah. And just studying it, and when I work with my clients, I want to teach them everything that I wish I knew when I started, to get them in a year where or teach them in a year what I've learned in 11 or 12. So yeah, it's all about, just get away from the I want to lose weight mentality, because that comes and goes. You're going to lose weight anyway. It's about just living a healthy lifestyle and maintaining it for a long period, or for the rest of your life.
Got it. Let's go back to the high you were chasing. So bodybuilding now,
Yeah.
functional bodybuilding or Ronnie Coleman's ass, or like what are we talking?
Bro, I used to be the least mobile human being on the planet. I could not touch the middle of my back. Probably. I did not care. I was just throwing a ton of weight on at all times, going as strong and as heavy as I possibly could, dieting my ass off. And I mean, that was my goal. I mean, of course, too, like when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, that's all you care about is just like being big, having muscle, looking good, or at least that's what I strive to be. So I was a huge fan of guys like Kai Green and Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman back in the day. I mean, like I studied bodybuilding so much. I would study like the golden era guys, the 90s guys, like how HGH and like all that stuff like influenced the sport, and like how it's just evolved and stuff. So it was like I was obsessed with it. And then slowly starting to learn more. As I learned more and more and more, I kind of realized, well, that maybe I don't want to go in that direction. It doesn't really seem like it's the healthiest way to go. Just from, the steroid abuse and stuff.
Break it down after just more than just a steroid use. I mean, break down why you think that bodybuilding as a sport isn't necessarily the healthiest thing for most people for Gen Pop, because I think that a lot of people that are in fitness know this to be true and know the reasons, but I think a lot of people listening to this have no damn idea.
Yeah. I think that from like a general population standpoint, it's just it's hard on your body, lifting that kind of weight and doing it for extended periods of time, dieting, going so high up in weight and so low in weight, and like decreasing your body fat at such quick rates and stuff. It puts a lot of strain on your body, and it feels to me, like I said, I love bodybuilding to death, and I still do. But it is very vanity driven. And, I at least now I like to just push being healthy, feeling good, and just being your best version of yourself, not striving to be a 300-pound behemoth all the time. That's just that's how I like to do things.
Yeah. So your methodology or your ideal outcome for yourself and clients changed as you got deeper into your obsession of bodybuilding, or was it after you stopped trying to do bodybuilding? Did you kind of change that, or?
Yeah, I think it was after I stopped. It was really, dealing with some of my health issues here in the last couple of years, like realizing this really isn't. I've been like, I've discovered a lot about myself through therapy and things like that, and it's just like realizing, I think that I got so much in my head that I was just like, if I had even an ounce of fat on my body, I would beat myself up about it. And, I've worked that out obviously now, but to me, it just became kind of mentally, it just was a real strain, and it was not healthy for me. And I don't want to have that kind of mentality and push that kind of mentality on my clients. I want people to be happy with the way that they look no matter where they're at, and find those positives, and just, overall just be healthy human beings.
Yeah, let's talk about that body dysmorphia, right? Because
Yeah,
this kind of
yeah,
moves
yeah. Let's do it.
into mental health. Body
Yeah.
dysmorphia, at least, before I started coaching a ton, man, before I started getting in like real deep in it, I really thought, and this is so ignorant of me to think, that the majority of body dysmorphia was held by women, not
Mm.
men. But what's
Mm-hmm.
interesting to me is that when you get in a gym, especially a CrossFit gym or a very high performing bodybuilding gym where people are juicing the fuck up in the bathroom every day because they are
Yeah.
chasing gains and chasing a body that very few will ever have.
Right.
You realize that, like, wow, women are not the only ones that are dealing with this, right? Men
Yeah.
also deal with this. And a lot of times men just pretend it doesn't exist. Right.
Yeah.
Have you dealt with a lot of body dysmorphia, and how have you overcome it?
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said before, I definitely have. I've overcome it just by, therapy has really helped me work through it
Mental
all.
health
I mean,
therapy, is that what we're talking about?
yeah,
Okay.
mental health therapy, like actually going and seeing a therapist, and talking with her about, how I look at food and how I look at my workouts. And like, I would stress out about going on vacation because I wouldn't know when I would get a workout in, or if there was even a gym that I could go to. And like, yeah, it would get
It
to
was
a
that
point
deep?
where it was like, because I obsessed over it so much, I hated doing anything other than go home, go to work, go to the gym. That was the only thing that I wanted to do. And it was like not a good place to be mentally, for sure. So going to therapy, working that stuff out really, really helped open my eyes to a lot of it. And yeah, and like, I see guys online all the time, and think to myself, like, I look no different than this guy, but to me in the mirror, I'm still that chubby little 12-year-old kid who just wants to be in shape. And I just push and push and push. And that inevitably is what caused a lot of my health issues that I've had in the past. Is like, I put myself through too much. Like, I was on the other end of the spectrum where, like, most people can't get the motivation to go to the gym. I couldn't get the motivation to stop. And like, I was just going and going and going. And we've talked about this a little bit, but like, you're talking like, I would have 3-hour workout sessions sometimes. Like, I would be on the Stairmaster constantly, thinking that like cardio or whatever is going to help me burn off the food that I ate yesterday and stuff like that. It's just like, it was not good. And my body was begging me to calm down, begging me to chill out. And I just kept pushing and pushing, because you get into this mentality where you think more is better, but really it's just better is better. Just, just working through all that stuff really helped me realize, like, I don't have to work out all day. I don't have to, be so judgmental about myself and be so hard on myself. And I created a delusion that I teach my clients one thing, or I teach people one thing, but I believed a different thing for myself. Like, I believed that my body was different from everybody else. Like, this works for everybody else, but not me. And so I had to like deconstruct all of that.
Damn. How long did it take you to from the time that you realized that, excuse me, my hair's getting a little long. Did you realize that you had a very jacked up view of yourself and were being like super hard on yourself? How long from the time that you acknowledged that was it till the time that you had a first session in therapy? Like, just
I would
straight up honesty.
say,
Like, how long was
yeah.
that legitimately?
I mean, truly, when I realized, because, I've always been given a hard time by my friends and stuff. Like, people always give me a hard time by the way my diet is. And I just was like, yeah, this is just how my lifestyle is.
Mm-hmm.
And not even realizing that it was an unhealthy lifestyle. But it probably took me about 3 years once I realized maybe this isn't the best way to think. And then like seeing my wife, and my wife's obviously she's very in shape. She's very healthy and health driven. She's a nurse. And she's always been very honest with me about it. And she's like, yeah, I mean, like, you gotta go easier on yourself. But she didn't really know, how to handle it with me. It's like, it's kind of like, I got to figure it out for myself, kind of thing. So I'd say it probably took roughly 3 years and then once I saw a doctor about my hormones and things, and like what all was getting messed up and with my health issues that this past year, she was like, you need to go see a therapist and get to the root cause of your anxiety and what's bothering you so much. And once we deconstructed that, it was just like breath of fresh air. And like, I work half as much as I did, and I look 1,000 times better than I've ever looked. And I feel 1,000 times better than I've ever felt. So
36 months, man. Why so
yeah.
long? Why did it take so long for you to get that ass in there? Because you don't have a problem going to the gym. You don't have a
Yeah.
problem showing up for your wife. You don't have a problem
Yeah.
showing up for your friends. Why didn't you show up for you for 3 years though?
I don't know, man. I've always been the kind of person that puts everybody else first. I've learned, and our friend Dan Price, I mean, like I look up to him a lot in this respect, because like, and he kind of taught me a lot about this, is like, if you don't want to do something, or if this is something that like you're putting yourself forward too much, don't fucking do it, man. Like that's one big thing that I respect a lot about Dan, is that he does that. And I noticed that a lot from spending a lot of time with him. And that, I think he was a big part of what kind of helped me make that shift, is like, I don't need to, like, I can still love on people and love myself. You know what I mean? So that was kind of like
almost like you don't have to drain the vessel that is the
yeah.
self-love to give to other people.
Yeah. And then like, what I have nothing left to give if I'm just giving and giving and giving and giving too. So it's like, what benefit am I giving anyone else if I'm not taking care of myself?
Okay. So 3 years, it took you some time, and it doesn't seem like you have shame around that. Right. But maybe when you got there, you were like, damn, why did I wait so long?
Yeah.
Why didn't I start this a few years ago? Why didn't I start this like more early 20s?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, it's just like anything else. You get started on something, you're always going to wish you got started sooner. But you know, it is what it is. I figured out when I figured it out, some people never get to figure it out. You know, some people never get that privilege. So I'm just lucky enough to be involved with the people that I'm involved with, and be around the people I'm around, and that they, you know, kind of got me into that situation, push me into that healthy situation.
Yeah. And I mean, so in that time, like that 3 years, like acknowledgement to there, I mean, was it a light bulb moment? Was it a conversation with Dan? Was it was it your wife pouring back into you, or was it kind of just like slowly but surely it built and you were like, okay, I've got to figure this out?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was when I started really taking personal training seriously, like when I started working with True Capacity, probably, and I started like studying more and reading more and learning more, and I'm like, okay, why is all of this working, but I have my way of doing things, but it doesn't line up with the healthy way of doing stuff. So why is that? What's going on? That it like kind of made my brain melt. And so that was kind of, I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
So diving in a little bit more on exercise methodology and selection, and then also probably when you got into talking about sales and got into, you know, showing people what, you know, painting a picture for them of what the vacation could look like and what they would need to do to get there. You just because you were doing enough of that fast that you were like, wait, hold on, I'm not doing what I tell everyone else that they need to do.
Right. Yeah. And it was just like, and like, I couldn't even imagine. And what was weird was like, when I would talk to people, they'd have questions or something. And I know that like the way I do things is not how an average, like, I know nobody's going to want to measure their food and calculate their food every single day. Mm-hmm. I know nobody's going to want to go to the gym for, 3 hours, like I said, and then to like to have people come at me with questions. And I'm like, well, this is what I do, but I know this isn't the right thing. So like, what do I tell this person? And then so it just was like bringing in as much information as I could, and then just accepting that I was wrong, for about myself at least. And that, I needed to change it. So.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Do you have shame for seeing a therapist?
Not at all. No, absolutely not.
Zero.
Yeah. I've always been very open. I tell everybody that, or anybody that cares to know.
You're not shouting. I'm not just,
yeah. I'm not telling, just some stranger on the street. But no, I encourage everybody to do that. I wish more people did it. I think it's so important. And I luckily we live in an age now where it's not as shunned or whatever, like frowned
Taboo.
upon. Yeah. More
It's not
people
like
do
an
it.
outcast thing, like not just
Yeah.
these people over here do it.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I wish more people did it. I wish that more people would stop, making the excuse or making excuses not to do it, and just realize that it is so important to go and talk to somebody about it. Even if you think that you don't need to go see a therapist, you're not, you don't have anything, there's nothing wrong with you. You don't have to think that. It's fine. Like, you don't have to be crazy to go see a therapist. Like, everybody needs someone to talk to and work that stuff out, because when it's just swimming around in your head, what are you going to do? It's like a bowl of spaghetti trying to like figure it all out. I don't know. It's incredibly important to me. I think that it's been a life-changing experience.
Yeah. And you wish you would have done it sooner.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I think it's beautiful that you can talk openly and honestly about it. And I kind of want to segue into this. Mental health obviously is extremely important, especially with death by suicide for men and a lot of other things going on. I mean, what in your mind, Brett, like dude, why don't we talk about it? Why don't men to men, not in front of women? I know everyone wants to, puff their feathers out and, we got to look good in front of these women and that, because whatever, but why do more men not talk about it?
I honestly, I don't really know. I have so many close people in my life that I wish would go to therapy, or like that. I have a lot of guys.
But why do you wish they would go to therapy? Why?
We deal with so much shit all the time. And like, I feel like, so I've always been under the idea that no matter how organized and how good you think your upbringing was, I mean, I had a great upbringing. I had two incredible parents. It's always been pretty good for me, but I still had my issues. And I think that everyone, no matter what, will have at least a little bit of trauma that they deal with from their upbringing. And then you top that on top of everything else in your life, the stresses of work, relationships, finances. I have a lot of friends that are police officers or paramedics, and my wife's a nurse. She's seen a lot of death and a lot of really, really tough things to cope with. And luckily, a lot of those organizations have groups and stuff where they can talk about that stuff. But I still think that really being able to break it down and facing it will not only make you feel better, but you just become a stronger person going through that and seeing yourself in the mirror and just being like, yeah, I'm fucked up and that's okay. And I wish more people thought that way. I wish more people would accept, I do have my faults. I am not right all the time. And that this is just who I am. And that's fine. That's okay. You're okay. You're exactly who you're supposed to be.
Okay. So the message out of all that is that anyone that feels like they're struggling should go, and anyone that doesn't feel like they're struggling should maybe go. Right?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
100%. Yeah. You give it a shot, even just a consultation at the least.
Yeah. Just to see what's going on in that head. What are we missing? Where are our blind spots? What's happening?
Right.
And I mean, do you think that comes back down to personal responsibility?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's just like any other health and wellness thing that we preach on all the time. It's just as important as your physical health, if not more important. I think that they both have they both have their place. But I think that it's a massive thing that people need to focus more on.
And I mean, what do you think people, men and women, like what do you think people are actually personally responsible for, or should be personally responsible for? Like, is it everything? Is it some things? Is it what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm always going to say your health. I mean, like, I never
define health.
Your health, like your physical health, your nutrition, your mental health, all that stuff. Don't ever let money be the thing that's keeping you from improving, because the more money you spend in those areas is just going to help bring more money in anyway. but yeah, I think that then I say money because that's the main objection that I hear a lot. And
Are you
I
teaching
just
yourself sales right now again?
I am, dude. I am. But no, truly though. I mean, I was talking to, I won't say who it was, but I was talking to somebody very, very close to me today about that. And, money was the objection and, or time or whatever. And it's just like, you can't let that stuff get in the way of your health. It's so like your quality of life should be the most important thing. And it starts with exercise, nutrition, going to see a therapist, whatever it is. You need to hone in on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we only have one meat sack so far as we can see, right? Like
Yeah.
we only have this this one body here right now, regardless of your
Right.
belief system, where you think we go, what you think happens after this.
Sure.
None of that matters for the sake of amor fati, owning the day. Here we go today, like not delaying.
Right.
So I mean, let's go this direction. I mean, with men these days, right? You and I are both men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dan's a man, right? There's other
Mm-hmm.
people in our lives that are men. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what do you truly think, or where do you see that men, as a general speaking man, the group of men in the world, where do you see us falling short? And what the hell do we do to fix it?
Mm, dang. That's a really good question. I feel like men typically, I mean, like you said before, it's like, hold it in. We got to pack it down, push it down. We don't really, I think one thing that we hold back on the most is just talking to each other, having a mentor, just having someone to, just bounce ideas off of, and accepting, like, and another thing I feel like one thing that I struggle with too is pride, like accepting that you're not right, or that maybe your approach isn't always the best approach, and finding someone who can kind of guide you. I like to have groups of men in my life that I can go to for advice, preferably older men that have experienced life. I like to go to, and like my dad is my guy. I if I ever need advice or something, I go to him. You are a really good influence on me too. I mean, like anytime I have something business related that I need help with, I come to you for advice. Like I feel like I've done a really good job of kind of breaking that pride wall down and just accepting, like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, and that's okay. Let's figure it out. But I think that for most men, that is a huge thing. We just want to, either we're packing it all down and like putting all our problems away and not really talking about it, or we're just assuming that my way is the right way and that's the only way and I got to do it that way, instead of actually like just getting some advice, or understanding that you're not always right.
Yeah. Who do you think has taught you that you're not always right most? Is it failures? Is it life? Is it your own damn stubbornness and health going in the wrong? Like, who do you think's been the best teacher? And not one person. I'm not looking for you to name,
Yeah.
Daniel Price, or that's not what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I'm just saying
Yeah.
in general, like, who do you think's taught you the most? Like, what do you
Honestly,
think has taught you the most
I
there?
want to, yeah, I want to say me, because it's been, I make those mistakes, and
Mhm.
like I have to go through me, like regardless of what anybody tells me to do, I always just go like, okay, I'm going to do it this way. And I fail. So I'm like, okay, I need to figure out what to do. And so I go to somebody and talk about it rather than just going to the person in the first place. So
Yeah.
I don't say that as like a, cocky, I'm not saying that in like a cocky way that like I'm the one that taught me those things, but I think that it has been just life experience, and just realizing that I do fail, and that I got to learn from that. And so let's move on, let's find somebody that can help me.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. How long you been married?
I've been married for 3 years.
3 years.
Yep.
Another 36 months. This seems to be a cycle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
3 years all around. Here we
that's
go.
right. Yeah.
I mean, do you think that you've leveled up since you've been married since you took the vow, since you jumped in with the wifey, the now wifey?
Yeah. Rebecca, she's I could sit here and we could make a whole 2 or 3 hour podcast just me talking about how great she is, but I'm not going to do that to you. But yeah,
I've never
no,
even met your wife, unfortunately. I don't know
I
how that's not
know,
happened.
I
I
know, I
literally
know.
have never met her in my life.
I
Just
was
interacted on Instagram. That's it.
I know we were talking about that too. I was like, we need to get together and meet and have you guys meet each other. But yeah, I mean, like, I've learned a lot about living with someone and compromise and she's incredibly empathetic and loving, and she's helped me kind of grow that part of me. And yeah, I mean, since we've been together, there's no doubt in my mind that I've learned more about women, which is amazing. Like, I have a new perspective and a new outlet or a new reference or somebody I can talk to about, like, okay, especially like with my clients too. It's like, okay, so here, this person's dealing with something that I can't really put my finger on, or that I can't really put myself in those shoes or whatever. And she can kind of give me a different perspective that's not just a male perspective on certain situations, not just with clients, but just with anything. And of course, like my wife, I go to my wife, even for my job, like fitness related stuff, I always bounce things off of her. She is one of the smartest human beings I've ever met. She's, like I said, I can sit here and talk all day about how great she is, but I think that I definitely, ever since I've been with her, has completely changed my life. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, that's solid.
Yeah.
Solid. How long ago did y'all meet?
We've been together for 7 years. We met in the gym, of course.
At One Life?
Yeah. Well, it was World Gym at the time, but yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah,
Back
dude.
in the day. Goodness.
Yeah. 7 years we've been together, and I met her. She worked the behind the counter at the gym. So anybody that's listening to this that thinks that front counter girl is cute and you want to shoot your shot, dude, I married the front counter girl. So
was this before or after you in your short shorts mopping the floor?
This was before. Yeah. Early on.
Oh man. So you met kind of on the more of the front end of your training journey so far, right? Well, you said you've been training like 10, 11 years. Is that what you?
Yeah. I've been about 11 or 12 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So 7. So about year 5, roughly.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, from then to now, I mean, what do you think has been because the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? We can unpack this. When people start something, they think that they're like, literally you get somewhere, you think you know everything, and then you get to a point where like, damn, I know nothing. And you drop aggressively, and then you start to go up more exponentially after you start to compound more experience. And it might not be exponential. Don't come for me, statisticians, but you go up the other side, and it's on that front side, we're probably in the first 1, 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, what do you think the biggest mover was on your development as a trainer, as a coach, as a diagnostician? Like, where did that start? Where did you get over the hump and then be like, damn, I know nothing, and go the other direction?
I mean, it's kind of like what I was saying. About like all the kind of some of the issues that I had dealt with and like working through that. But I think that early on, I'd say, well, it's actually when I met, there's this trainer in Georgia, and a lot of my actor friends will know him because he worked closely with the acting community that I've worked in. His name's Tyler Buckingham with Buckingham Fitness. He's a incredible guy, incredibly knowledgeable. And I remember, I met him on set, and he was just obviously just a really, really nice guy. And he eventually started his own training business. And so he reached out, or like, I'll post something. And it was like early on when I would post like my workouts and stuff. And they were like, my workouts were like if it was a scroll, it would go out the door, and he'd give me a little bit of feedback, and I kind of brush it off because, I thought I knew everything. And then the more I started watching his stuff and the more I started like kind of learning from him, and I've had a session with him before too, started to realize like, oh, there's more to this than just bodybuilding. There's more to this than just, chasing a pump. So he was a huge influence. Another buddy of mine who he was a trainer. I shadowed him. His name is Donnie Love, coolest name in the world, but he's now a stuntman. But I working with him and learning a lot about mobility, stability, Olympic powerlifting, and realizing like I've kept myself in this little bubble, this little box for so long, and like ever since I started meeting more people in the industry, that's when I started realizing like, oh, okay, I only know this little piece. There's 1,000 other pieces there that are super important, and I want to learn all about that. So a lot of it was just from meeting people, I think, and experiencing that kind of stuff, talking to people and whatnot.
Yeah. And I mean, of the things that you don't know, what are you most excited about learning next?
Wow. I've wanted to do, because like I've mentioned Olympic weightlifting before, and I've talked to you a little bit about Olympic weightlifting and CrossFit and stuff, and I've gotten away from that for a while. I would love to, like, I've never been, as a coach, I've never been able to snatch or clean and jerk, stuff like that.
That you could go see.
I know you do. But yeah, like stuff like that would be really nice to learn and understand, like, because I watch, Squat University. I love watching those guys and learning
Dr.
from
Aaron.
them.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're incredibly knowledgeable, and just understanding the like biomechanics of like how the body works and the best ways to do your exercises and how you can train your body to perform at its best and stuff like that. It's super, super fascinating to me. And I would love to learn more and more about that.
Yeah. So I'm hearing biomechanics, but I'm also hearing Olympic weightlifting. Is that kind of where you're sitting? Those are the two places that you want to really dive in deeper.
Yeah. I mean, I've studied a good bit of like biomechanics and stuff, but just diving deeper into like the sports side of it, the performance side of it.
Also probably sports application on anatomy, right? Like understanding superficial and deep and tendons, ligaments, etc.
Yes.
Because I mean, everyone knows where the elbow is, right? Everyone that's training should know where the elbow is. Everyone that's training should know where your difference between your bicep and your tricep. But most people don't really necessarily, and a CPT exam is not going to give you the knowledge that stays with you for knowing the different tendons, the different parts of the quadricep, the different parts of your foot, the bones across everything. Like that's a lot of stuff that even med students spend months and months and months studying. Let's call it a lousy CPT exam is not going to get you to the place in anatomy of the understanding that you necessarily need to be the best diagnostician. So shout out to Andy Coggins. If he listens to this, he's coming on here soon, probably in a few weeks. He's the owner of All South Barbell. Like if you're going to go anywhere in Atlanta, that is where I would go. They've got Team USA peeps over there, men and women. They train a ton of people. My close friend, Maddie Conti, right, that does all the kettlebell stuff. She trains over there. Andy coaches her.
Okay.
Solid gym. They are, in my opinion, they're the best in Atlanta, period. Bar none. All South. They just moved to a new place. I want to say in Peachtree Corners, but you'll be able to take 285 from where you're at. So you won't even have to go through Atlanta. I don't think. You'll be able to go around. So that would definitely be, I'll connect y'all, but that would definitely be where I would go there. And they really level up people's skills. They take some people, they do sometimes, you could go and do a seminar, right? Do something like that. And then kind of jump in from there on the coaching side and on you could get you a USAW1. They, I believe, they hold seminars there.
Yeah, I know. And I know like there's so many certifications that are centered around like Olympic weightlifting and stuff that are like a weekend class or something that you can like knock out quick. So I definitely want to do more of that.
I definitely think that if you're going to go into Olympic weightlifting, you're going to coach it. You definitely have to have body awareness, right? And have an understanding of how it feels and be able to put yourself in the positions. Doesn't mean that you need to be able to snatch 300 pounds to coach someone on a snatch, but it does mean that you should know how it feels, not just how it looks, for sure.
Right.
That's definitely a direction to go. I'd love to see you hop in your thick ass into CrossFit. I would love to see you do some cross training like that, dude. Would love to see it.
I used to do a good bit of CrossFit early on when I started, and I loved it back then. I just, for whatever reason, I just backed out of it. And, but yeah, I'd love to do that stuff.
Do you think that was an aesthetics thing? Like you were more interested in how your delts looked as opposed to how many bar muscle ups you could do?
Right. I mean, well, that's why I moved on from CrossFit and just stuck with bodybuilding for so long.
All in.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm like focusing on like this tiny strand of muscle that nobody sees for like 3 times a week or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely it was an aesthetic thing. Now it's like it's all I know. So I want to, or not all I know, but you know what I mean.
It's a large portion of what you know and what you practice, though, right?
Right.
Like it's not something that you're foreign to, but we tend to do what we know. Like I would much rather put weight on my on front rack all day every day than I would on the back rack all day. I would much rather front squat all day every day.
I know. I saw you front squat more than you back squat, dude. We got to change
right now. Unfortunately, that's true.
Because
I don't back squat, but like I don't lose it on the front squat, and I think it's because of the size of my quads, honestly. Because I can hop up under a front squat and I feel smooth. Hop up under a back squat, same weight, and I'm like, this should be easier, but it's not, and I don't know why. You know,
right.
So that's definitely something I gotta look at. But yeah, on the training side, man. I mean, what are you most excited for? Like, it seems like every time I'm talking to you, and I know that we communicate a whole lot, right? More than I communicate with most people, and maybe vice versa, unless you have a quadrillion people that you talk to. Your thirst for knowledge, like you continue to get new certifications, you continue to grow skills. I mean, what are you looking forward to most as a trainer coming into, or a coach, or in life, or whatever the hell, in 2023, man?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this because like I really started taking the business side of my coaching super seriously in March. And like March was when me and you really hunkered down on like getting me off my ass and actually doing some stuff. So really just seeing where this all takes me. Cause like I feel like, and I would hope that you would agree, but I think that from March to December, I'm a completely different trainer, completely new person. And I feel 1,000 times different. And to see that within another year span, there's no telling where we're going to be. So I think that I'm just most excited about the growth and just seeing where true capacity and goes and where I am, in that whole process, and just how I grow even more as a person and the people that I get to meet, and I'm just super, like, I talk about how much I love this job all the time, and I'm just super excited to see where it takes me even further. It's like it's limitless, I'm just really excited about it.
The same guy that sits before me today is the same person that used to avoid even sending follow-up texts to people because you didn't want to bother them, because you're worried about pissing them off. And now you're excited to go into consultations and be a diagnostician and be a problem solver and uncover everything they've been struggling with. So I would say that from a development standpoint, yes, I would agree. From March to now, different person. From March to the first time that we started working together, when you left One Life, different person as well. You've had 1 to 2 to 3 evolutions since you've left. 100%. And now, I mean, I don't think that I've smiled more in your journey than when you texted me. I think it was a week or 2 ago, dude. And you were like, yo, 3 people, 1 day. Let's go.
That was Sunday. That was Sunday.
Not even a regular work day. The weekend.
Yeah.
3 people, same day. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, man.
Yeah,
that's definitely ridiculous. That's leaps and bounds, right?
Well, and I think that just speaks to taking care of yourself. I mean, like because I went to a therapist and I worked all this stuff out, it made me a better person, and I was able to put more positive energy out into the world, and the world was bringing it back to me, and I was able to, I can give people what I've always wanted to give them and not get burnt out and not feel like drained all the time. So it's just, I am just like, all the fog that was in my head is gone. And now I can like just reach out and give people what they want, help as many people as I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you also jumped into more of the online side too, right? Like you've been predominantly kind of in person. I'm interested to see what happens when you're running both and you're running hybrid, because it's
Yeah.
been very, very little time that you've been in here jumping on both sides. You've predominantly been an in-person guy. And I think that that's wonderful and that's a great staple. But what happens with your consistent reel posting as you're doing right now, and you're
Yeah.
consistently getting better at communicating on camera, combine that with the capability to coach well and effective, right? Not just coach, because anyone can coach, but effectively
Mhm.
coach to get people to go online as well.
Yeah.
Like, where
I
are you, in a year?
yeah. Yeah, and I love that I've branched out into the online thing because it just gives me more opportunity to reach people that I wouldn't normally be able to reach. So I mean, like there's yeah, I can work with people in other states and stuff and it's still an intimate relationship that I can work with them and reach out to them and they can talk to me when they need to. And I get hit with questions and that helps me grow because I can look into it and study things and I get hit with stuff that I'm not used to and it just makes me a stronger trainer overall. So
Yeah, man, that's
yeah.
amazing. What do you think you suck at the most in
Okay.
training, outside of training, whatever, just in general? What do you think you suck at the most?
Oh, dude, after saying all of that, I do have a procrastination problem. I get super overwhelmed a lot of times. So, like, I could have a list of things I need to do, and I'll look at it and I'll like work a little bit on each individual thing instead of just knocking it out one by one. And I'll get overwhelmed and I'll start procrastinating and like pushing stuff off and stuff. I've since worked a lot on that, but yeah, it gets the best of me sometimes. I think so. Yeah, that would probably be it.
Yeah. Do you know why you procrastinate?
I don't know. I get overwhelmed and it's like, you know, I, I don't know. I get overwhelmed. I think I probably have ADHD or something that's just not diagnosed or something like that that causes it. But
Need some
even
Adderall.
if it's not, yeah, I know, right? It's something like that. But I mean, honestly, working with you though has kind of helped me get past a lot of that because you've always been that voice of like, hey man, you need to let's get some shit going. And you're like, it's like I know I'm telling myself that in my head, but to hear you say it or hear somebody say it,
Yeah.
it's always a good thing because it's like, okay, I can take this list, I can break it down and just do it one at a time. I need to stop picking at these things and not getting anything done and just actually, hone in and work on it.
Yeah, I mean, I stole that mantra from Gary V, Hormozy, and a handful of other people. Like macro patience, micro speed. Like
Mm,
knock out the to-do list, knock out the work, get in the trenches and run, but detach emotionally from the outcome because you really can't control it at the end of the day, right?
yeah. That outcome mentality is that's another thing that I struggle with too. That I think I could work on is just being okay with I'm going to do what I got to do. Whatever happens, happens. I got to get better about that. I definitely think I have, but I got to get better about that. I'm glad you said that.
Where do you think that outcome mentality came from? Is it social media or is it reinforced there? Or did you get it from mom? You get it from dad? Like, where'd you get that?
It was probably an upbringing thing. Naturally you do something, you do enough, you put forth your whatever effort and you get rewarded for it. So I feel like it was an upbringing thing, just something that I learned over time as a kid is just like, well, I did this, I deserve, to get this in return when in actuality, it's just like, just do what you got to do and whatever happens, happens. And then
Yeah. So
if it's,
no,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
sorry.
No, you got it. Go.
Okay. And then, whatever happens there, regardless of what it is, you just adapt if it's something that you're not familiar with and figure it out from there.
Is the emotional attachment to outcome perhaps an entitlement?
Probably. I mean, that's not too far-fetched to think.
Yeah,
I think,
that's been something that's been in my head when people are like overly attached to the outcome and what's going to happen. And like, hey, I'm only going to be happy if I reach this. Hey, I'm only going to be happy if I'm juicy as
yeah,
fuck. I'm only going to be happy if I can get the girl that everyone wants. I'm only going to be happy if like, whoa, are you just not entitled?
yeah. I mean, it's like you center success around whatever it is that you're striving for. Like for me, I always thought that in order to be happy, I need to book a role. I need to book this role. When I was, when acting was like a big part of my life, it was like, okay, if I book this role, I'll be happy. And then all it does is it just makes you look desperate. And then that shows on your auditions. And yeah, I've learned over time, it's like, brush that shit off, dude. you should just be happy with you, and all that other stuff's just going to work out on its own.
Yeah. Acting. How'd you get there, and when did you decide to get out of it?
Yeah. Okay. So with acting, first of all, I love it, and I would still like to pursue it down the road. Whenever I get to a point where that's a possibility. So I got into it when I was about 19, 20 or so. I think it was probably right when I met Rebecca was when I first started working on stuff. So I'd say about 7. Yeah. So 20, 21. But yeah, one of my best friends, Jesse Shemeka, he is a filmmaker in Atlanta. He's incredibly talented. He was just putting something together. We were playing around with, he played around with his camera a lot, and growing up, and he got to a point where he was making really well produced stuff just on his own, and he still does. But really well produced stuff on his own. And he wanted to make this Spider-Man film with his friends, and he was like, "I want you to be Venom." And I was like, cool, that sounds fun. I don't know anything about this. Let's figure it out. And I did it, and I was like, this seems feasible. Now, that being said, I can't even watch that footage nowadays. It's so cringy for me. And we all joke about it to this day, about just everything, but they always like to play my footage, of course, because it makes me cringe every time. But anyway, I got into it, and started taking classes. I've met with a lot of people. I started going to, I studied Meisner technique. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all.
No, dude, school me. I don't know shit about it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So Meisner, it's all about repetition, and it taught me, and actually just to bring it back to training, I mean, acting really taught me how to listen to people, and really taught me how to break down walls, break down barriers, because you have to be vulnerable. You have to be completely vulnerable to the world. You have to be completely in touch with all your emotions and understand what you're feeling, why you're feeling it. And Meisner technique really taught me a lot about who I was. And it took me a long time to really understand the work. But when I did, it all kind of clicked, and it was an outlet for me to just be myself for a while. And I absolutely loved it. And I still do love it. It's become a huge part of my life. And I've always said, even if I never go back to it, I still got so much out of it just because of that. And yeah, I mean, it's made me, it truly did make me a better trainer, I think, just because the whole listening aspect of it. And I used to, you could talk to me in a conversation, and it would just be I was no, not there at all. I remember one of my good friends, he was my manager at the time, or he's my manager. He's been my manager in the past, Sean. And we were talking, he was like, you got to start listening better. And he was like, even right now, while I'm talking to you, I can tell you're not paying attention to what I'm saying. It's my mind's in 1,000 different places. And I was like, wow, okay. And I remember him, that was years ago, and that really stuck with me. And yeah, so acting really taught me a lot about myself and being true and being okay. Dude, cry. If you feel like you got to cry, fucking cry, dude. Don't hold it in just because you got to be tough, or you have this persona that you want to adhere to. Be yourself. Don't put a mask on all the time. And it helped me understand me, but it also helped me empathize with people and understand, other people's situations, and study people, and just understanding things that people go through, and how they could get to where they are now based on this decision that they made, and just deconstructing all of that. It's been it was a life-changing experience for sure. But I acted for roughly I would say I seriously studied acting for about 3 to 4 years. And then recently I stepped away from it because my wife's getting ready to go to school. I was like, I had my hands in two baskets. I was constantly getting pulled in different directions. And I was like, I love this and it has its special place for me. I love it, but I have to step away for now and I have to work on myself first because all of the issues that I was dealing with was also getting in the way of this. And folks start focusing on my training. And so when I started working on myself, it made me a better trainer. And I know now that if I went into class, even not having been there for a while, I feel like such a totally different person and such a so much more at ease and understanding of myself that if I did jump back into it, I think I would do a pretty good job. I would be able to kind of get back to where I was pretty easily. But yeah, it's just been, I want my wife to get through school. I want to be able to support her through her schooling. And I also, I'm the kind of person that needs, I like to be in control of my life. I need a job that I can control and that I can be as creative and expand as much as I possibly can. So training was the place to go. And that's where all my focus went. And I'm glad that I did it because as much as I love acting, for me, it was a very selfish pursuit. It was for myself. I wanted to do it for me, which is great. But with what I do now, I just love, I think for myself as well, but I love that I get to work with other people and help them reach their goals. And it teaches me more about myself. It teaches me more about other people. And it helps me kind of use all that stuff that I learned from acting. Like I've said a couple of times already, but it just helps me take all that I've learned and use it to my advantage and to other people's advantage here with True Capacity and with training and all that good stuff.
Dude, the shameless plugs, man. We got to get you some royalties or something. Man, you were just plugging away at TC.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you.
When you were acting, did you love yourself?
No.
That's what you mean when you say it was selfish. You were feeding ego. You were chasing something that was 100% self-serving.
Yeah. And I realized that later. Like I truly didn't love myself. And my actions spoke for that. I mean, like everything I did, I never did anything for me. So like, yeah, I think so. I didn't really love myself all that much. And that gets in the way of it all too. I mean, like you can't be your best self if you don't love yourself. And if you want to be when you become your best self, that's where acting is like, it's a breeze. It's like, I can just be myself in this character, I can bring whatever I need to into this character. And I think that it takes a lot of work within to be a good actor. So yeah, I think that that's also why I wasn't as, good at it as I had probably wanted to be.
Yeah. I mean, was there someone that sparked you getting into acting? Outside of your, your short film where you were playing Venom,
Sure. Yeah. Well, when I played Superman in,
talk to us about that. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Real Superman?
So
who are we talking about? Clark Kent?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. A close buddy of mine, we still keep in contact. Heath Gleason, we made an hour-long Superman film, and that I think was my biggest. I think that is probably my best work, and I didn't really even understand what I was doing. But even looking back now, knowing what I know about acting, and this was before I even had classes or anything, I think that I just kind of naturally was able to put myself into that role. And, aside from, his physicality and, being Superman and looking like Superman it was not an easy thing. I strenuous dieting and exercising and stuff. But when we were filming it, my grandfather had passed away, or he was really sick. This was just before he passed away. And my grandfather was my best friend. Like I spent every waking moment with him my entire life. And I always thought that if like that Superman, him as the film was about him being a man, the man behind the cape kind of a thing. And I thought to myself, well, he would be the only example of a man that he has is Jonathan Kent. And so I was like, well, my Jonathan Kent, his dad that raised him, is Steve Fletcher, my grandpa. And my dad as well. My dad has a huge influence on that as well. But like Jonathan Kent was always older, and I just always saw he was just a farmer, and like it always my grandpa was like a pioneer of a man. If he shook your hand, it would like your whole hand would get absorbed by it. Like he was a man's man. And so I took everything, every line that I read, everything that I did was all centered around, I'm not going to be Superman. I'm going to be Steve Fletcher. I'm going to do and react and do the things that I think that he would do. And so through that, all that said, who I am today, I think that left a huge mark on me, because it took us 3 years to film that. And that character and like really trying to channel that sat with me for a while. And so I think that my grandfather, and just like really just studying my grandfather and thinking about all the things that we've been through and all the memories that we had and all that stuff, like turned me into, I was able to use a lot of that in my day-to-day life. So like now where, for 3 years, I was like, okay, this is how Brett's going to do it. How would Steve do it? And so he was like the guy that I would go to. He was my mentor, the guy that I would go to for advice and stuff. And so that stuck with me, and it still sticks with me to this day. And it's made me a better person, I think, because of it. So, I think that, overall, that was a long-winded answer, but overall, that's what really got me into acting, really helped me understand the craft, and really understand who I was and who I wanted to be, and just gave me that motivation to pursue that.
Wow, that's pretty deep.
Yeah. Every time I talk about Superman, that's first thing I think about is my grandpa. And it was a big piece of me for sure.
Do you think that your grandpa would be happy about what you're doing today?
Absolutely, dude. I could be in just the worst position possible, and my grandpa would be proud of me. He always saw the best in me, and I love that about him. But I think he sees what I do now, and I think that he would definitely be proud.
Are you proud of where you're at right now?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. A year ago, I wouldn't be able to say that. Not just because of where I'm at, but just mentally. Like I would never give myself credit. But yeah, I definitely think that, or not, I am definitely proud of myself for sure. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, you've leveled up since the time that I've known you, and I haven't known you that long. Like you're a different person than the guy that I talked to on the phone when you were about to leave one life. Like you're a different person, man. You're much different. As far as body composition is different, your mind is different. Your ability to down regulate and intentionally control where your mind is going, way different capability. Before it was overwhelm quickly, like a few, not one stimuli, right? I mean, you could push through that, but two, and here we go. We're like, whoa, we're off beat. Now, it's not like that, man. It's not like that at all. You're in a different spot from everything that I can see. And I don't even spend that much time with you, Yeah. And I see a much different person. So I'm definitely proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. And I think that I think there's a lot of good things coming for you. And before we let you get out of here, man, tell us a little bit about your obsession with certain type of cartoon and these tattoos that you got on your body, man. Like, tell me a little bit about that, because I don't know a damn thing about either of them.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so if anybody watches my reels, you see my like half of my video game collection. So I am obsessed. A lot of my friends give me a hard time because I love retro stuff and vintage stuff. Collect a lot of vintage like action figures and video games. That's the thing that I go to like get away from work. If I need to decompress, I just play some video games or something. But yeah, so video games, anime is a big thing. I
That's
have,
what I was talking about.
yeah, you got it. 3 of my clients are all tattoo artists, and I mean, really, that whole tattoo shop, pretty much, I talk to those guys all the time. So, Nimbus Tattoo, if ever anybody's ever in the Metro Atlanta area, Nimbus Tattoo is the place to go. But yeah, my client Chris, who has been very, very loyal and very supportive of me since I've started. You know that he's like my first client, and he's still a client today.
He's not going anywhere. He's trying to figure out ways to support you more, man. Like
I
every
know.
time that guy has a chance, he's like, dude, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here. What do you need? I'm down.
100%. He has a podcast too that I was on that, and we talked about health and how that relates to tattoos and how that relates to your skin and how tattooers can tattoo your skin if you're in, or it's easier to tattoo your skin when you take care of your body and things like that. But anyway, yeah, Chris has been one of the most loving and supporting people that I know. And so Michael and Mitch over there at Nimbus have been super, super supportive. But yeah, they've done a lot of the tattoos that I have. I've got Sonic and Shadow the Hedgehog on my leg from the Sonic video games. We all love anime, so like we're getting another I'm getting another tattoo in January that Chris wants to do, so it's going to be on the other leg. Going to get the main villain from the Sonic games, Dr. Eggman, is going to be on the opposite leg. But yeah, man, tattooing is I've never had any experience tattooing. I always thought they were cool. And I met Chris, and when my wife was getting a tattoo by one of his previous coworkers, and he was like, I want to train. And I was like, okay. And he was like, the one thing that he was that drew him to me is that I'm not the guy that's going to like scream and yell at you. And unless you want me to be, I'm not the guy that's going to like, drop down, give me 20, like whatever, like the crazy coach. I have a more gentle approach on things when it comes to health and fitness and stuff. Unless you need me to scream at you, I can do that too. But yeah, he said, that was kind of what drew him in. But yeah, I think ever since I met him, like it's gotten me even more into tattooing, but just because he's been doing it 11 years. So he's like, just tells me like how he breaks down a tattoo, how he looks at tattoos. And it's like, I kind of changed the way that I see tattoos and stuff now too. It's cool. It's really, really cool.
So you express yourself not only through movements, not only through certifications and working with clients, but also with video games, with anime, and with tattoos.
You got it, dude.
What's one thing before we go that probably no one listening to this, that's listened to the whole episode as well, right, including those people, knows about you that you want them to know about you?
Like I said, dude, I'm fully out there. I will anything you need to know. I typically.
I don't think that you have fear in that. I'm saying, what do people not know about you that you want them to, that you wish they did, that you wish you could communicate better, that you maybe haven't, or you've been afraid to, perhaps? I don't know.
I think it's that. I mean, it's like a lot of people look at me and think that I obsess over like, sports and health and like all I'm doing is reading books and studying for the next question that I got. But dog, a lot of my time I spend a good bit of time playing video games. Like that's my thing. Like I've become good friends with a lot of bigger retro YouTubers and stuff. Like retro, I don't know if anybody cares about or knows about this, but like Retro Rick, Pixel Game Squad, a lot of these guys that are like pretty big in the retro community, I've gotten to meet them and talk to them, and we stay in contact here and there too. So like, yeah, I think a lot of people think that it's just health and wellness and that's all that Brett knows, but dude, I love all that stuff. Anytime I get to talk about anime, dude, I'll talk about anime with somebody. Like that's my thing. Anime, retro games, all that stuff. I love it.
Okay. So the anime, the things that people would say might be your guilty pleasures, right? The way you escape, the way you get out of the day to day. That's what you want people to know. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
I think. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think more people need that. I know too many people that don't have that outlet, and it's super helpful.
Yeah, I don't know what mine is. I'll have to think on it.
Yeah.
I work. I mean, this might be it. Like literally, I love podcasting. It's
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a studio in and
That's
get an
awesome.
in-person spot because I love it. And not because
Yeah.
there's some damn outcome at the end of this that like, oh, I become Joe Rogan. Like, I'm not trying to be Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But I do think that when people think of podcasting, that's what they think of kind of the North Star is. And really, I'm just trying to have interesting conversations. So I get the, like, you escape with that. Like, dude, I don't know if it's an escape, but I really enjoy connecting where like,
Yeah.
we're not coaching each other. You're not a client. I'm not your, you know what I mean? Like, we're
Yeah.
sitting here having a conversation as two humans on even playing fields. If it's an interesting conversation that I want to have it. Right. And that's
Yeah.
the end of it. Like, I enjoy that where there's not like some ulterior motive and all kinds of craziness going on. Not at
Yeah.
all. I just enjoy podcasting. This is episode like 92, I think.
Yeah.
Like 91, 92 or something like that. And
Yeah.
it's a ride, man. It's definitely a ride.
Yeah. And it's made you a better person too. You learn so much and get to see so many different perspectives. I mean, nobody gets to say that they do that all the time. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Get to be connected to a bunch of crazy, cool people, you know, from all
Yeah.
kinds of walks of life across all over the world. I mean, had someone on that was in Australia, someone else that's in Canada, you know, people that have
Yeah.
traveled all over the place. Like, it's cool. It's
Yeah.
definitely cool to do that. So before we let you go, man, where can the people find you? Anyone that's listening to this, it's like, yo, I need more Brett in my life. Yo, I need more tattoos in my life. Yo, I need more anime in my life. Where can the people find you, and how can they get in contact with you?
So Instagram is at coach_Brett_Owens. TikTok is Coach Brett Owens, and Facebook just Brett Owens. But yeah, if you want to contact me, just any of those apps, way to go.
Okay, and on TikTok, no underscores, just one word, Coach Brett
Yep,
Owens.
all just one word.
Okay, cool. Well, dude, I really appreciate you being here. I'm glad that we could finally make this happen. Very happy to hear that you're leveling up day over day. And I appreciate your honesty and your vulnerability about the mental health, about therapy, about wifey, about anime, about everything. Like, all of it combined together makes you. And
Yeah.
I think that it's very inspiring, and it's pretty cool to see that while things may have stopped you along the way, when you got into a place where you're accepting you for you and you're working through your things, right, and bettering yourself, that all the things that make you're welcome to showcase. You know, you're willing to showcase. You're willing to let everybody know about. I think that's a beautiful thing, man. And I'm very happy to have you here with TC. Very happy to have a relationship with you. 2 years ago, I didn't know who you were. 2.5 years ago, I didn't know who you were. You know. Oh, how far we've come. And there's much more out there, man. There's much more out there. So
I'm thankful for all that too.
Yeah, dude, I really appreciate you being here. And this is a hell of a conversation. And man, we should do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
All right, brother.
Thank you, man.
I'm going to cut that recording there. Y'all be easy. Appreciate you listening.